Good evening, everyone. Since it's close to Halloween, I've decided to talk about ghosts. Halloween is on Monday. This is October 26, 2016. Halloween is set to be on October 31st. So I'm going to tell you about some of the ghost experiences I've had, and I will tell you this. It's one of them is very surprising, and I was the only one who witnessed it. Well, okay. The first experience I had with ghosts came on September 27th, 1999. People would be like saying, how do you know the first time you had an experience with a ghost before? For one thing, that was the day that my younger brother David Henry Stewart Brownell, age 27 and 3 days old, passed away. He passed away at 10:40 a.m. that morning. It was about, I believe the time was probably 6 something p.m., maybe 7 something. I'm not sure of the hour, but the day, I know immediate. I know. My dad's best friend, Joe Petzel, from Columbia, Missouri, came down to our home at 317 Bluebird Trails. My younger brother had a pool table down in the basement floor area, and Joe said, "Who wants to play a game of pool on David's pool table?" I said I did. So we both went down. Joe brought his dog Forrest into the house, and he said, "I'm gonna let Forrest stay at the door." And I said, "He's more than welcome to roam wherever he wants. We love dogs." So we were playing pool. I was hitting shots that were right on what David would do. And Joe was saying, "Nice shot." And we kept playing, and it was about maybe half an hour later, Joe remarked about the smell. He asked me if I was wearing any perfume, and I said I don't wear perfume. At that time I didn't. And I said, "I'm not wearing any," and I started pulling the air towards me, and I was smelling the scent too. I started smelling the scent. And I said, "You're not wearing anything that would smell like this scent?" And he's like, "No." And I went over and sniffed his neck. He didn't have the same scent on. So I said, let's see what David had in his room, as in cologne. So we went into to his bedroom, and we pulled off the top shelf of his dresser, Polo cologne. We spritzed the air, waved the smell towards us. Boom! That was David's scent. David was there, hovering over the pool table. And I'm like, "Okay, hey, that's good. Hey, Dave, watch us play pool." And so we went and got to back to the pool table, and we started playing pool again. Happy that David was making his presence known on the first day he left us. And it was after I had made a miss of one of the balls, I noticed that Forrest had moved from his seat by the sliding doors to in front of the staircase that was going up to the top floor, the first floor. And he was doing something that I was kind of surprised at. He was going like this. And I was like, and I said, "Hey, Shovelhead, what are you doing?" And Joe said, David had called him Shovelhead. How did you know that? And I'm like, I have no idea. I think it was David. I think David was putting words into my mouth at that time. And we continued playing pool. And I was waiting for my turn, and I was watching Forrest continuing to do his head tilt, so I just looked at where he was looking at, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what he's looking at. So I stuck my hand into between the bars of the stairs, and I felt ice cold spot there. I went up, felt warmth. Went down, warmth. In the middle, ice cold. And I mean ice cold. And this was in September, and the temperature was enough to where we had the heat on. This one spot was ice cold. And I knew who it was. It was David. David had come home. And I yelled up to Mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, David's home." And I don't even remember what she said. Because the only one who checked that spot for the ice coldness was Joe. No one came down to put their hands in the ice cold spot and feel David coming home for one of the two times he came home. Well, actually, he did come home another time before October 31st, 1999. It was probably a couple weeks after we got his remains back we had him cremated. And I was sound as, this happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up to the smell of the embalming fluid strongly in my nose. And the thing is, I had nothing that had been clinging to David during that time. During the time when we had his funeral, that there was anything that we kept from him that we had placed in the coffin and took home with us. No, we didn't have anything. And I smelled this scent so strong. I woke up and I glanced at the clock and it said 4 o'clock, and I said, "David, why did you wake me up?" Few seconds after I said that, I heard Mommy yelling, "Beth! Beth! Beth!" I leapt out of my bed, opened my door of my bedroom, and went on to the partial loft that we have over Mom and Dad's bed. And I looked down and she said, "Go get Princess's remedy. Dad needs it." I went running full steam down the stairs to the laundry room where I grabbed the homeopathic remedy that we used for Princess's seizures, and used it on Dad. He was having a pain fit, and it brought him out of it. And when Mom said, "Why were you up at this hour?" and I said, "I'll tell you the truth, Mom. David woke me. David woke me up. Because later times when Mom needed me and I was sound asleep in my bed, I wasn't awakened by anyone. I didn't even hear it. And that was probably one of the most shocking times when I had a ghost actually throw a scent in my face to where I could wake up so I could help my mom. So, and like the big third time that we had a ghost, that I had a ghost experience was on Halloween, October 31st, 1999. One of our friends had given us a white candle to help David go towards the light and be at peace, because he was staying here at home. Well, not here where we are right now, but at our old home on 317 Bluebird Trail. Our Mom and Dad and I were to do all 3 candles together. They didn't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it myself. So I lit my candle outside on the deck, sitting where David was, like to sit at all the time, and I just basically told him how I felt, and I told him that I'm gonna miss him, and I love him, and I wish him well. And that was when, and I looked away, and I felt something in the area. I felt this. And when I turned around, and there on the steps, and I mean, this was very, very much visible to me, was David standing there in the clothes that we had cremated him in. His black and yellow shirt, his pants, his shoes, and he was on the steps with his hand on the rail looking up at me. And I just basically told him that I'm gonna miss him. That I'm gonna miss him, and I want him to be happy where he is, and that Nanny's up there, and we're gonna take good care of Lefty, and we're gonna make sure that he's okay. That we're gonna keep him alive as long as we can, and that he needs to go. He needs to go on. It's his time to go on, and I did make one mention to that I didn't tell anyone else. I told him, if one of us is on death's door, come for us. Come get us. Come walk us home. Take us home. And David threw out one of his smiles, one of his big smiles. and he started to fade away slowly. I know people say, "Oh, ghosts don't fade away." Well, David did. David faded away, and the only thing that he left behind before he truly vanished was a smile. He left his smile behind. He knew how much I love his smile. And as soon as his smile faded away, I heard a noise to my right. I turned, and there, bathed under the golden light of our dusk to dawn light, was a doe. And the doe was looking right at me, and I knew it was David. And I said, "David, I'm going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine." And with that, the doe jumped over the fence and vanished. And the thing is, this doe vanished. These sounds of the deer running off, you would hear it in the woods with how quiet it was. The deer ended up making no noise after, and I heard the deer making rustling noises as she was running before she jumped the fence and then went out of the light of the dusk to dawn light. There was no sound, nothing at all. And after that, David never came back until Mom was on her deathbed on May 12th, 2012. David came back. David came and made himself known, not to me, and I don't think even Craig knew he was there, but a nurse at the hospital. Well, she's not a nurse, she's more of a cleaning girl. She had walked past the room that Mom was in, and Craig was in shadows from the light shining in, and the girl said, "Who's the tall gentleman behind you?" And Craig was like, "What? What gentleman?" And he couldn't see it. And the girl described who she saw. And the thing is, she described David to the T. And when Craig told me that, I said, he is fulfilling his promise. I said that to myself, because I didn't want to let everyone else know that I had asked David to come back when we were on death's door. David came to collect Mom for at 5:35 p.m. on May 12th, 2012. Mom died and went away. And it was about probably a week or two after her passing. Dad had gotten up and did his bathroom duties and went back to his bed, and he didn't take his side of the bed anymore. He he took Mom's side. And it was about maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I turned, because I felt something wasn't right. I turned to look towards the room, the bedroom, and I noticed this white shadow walking by, and at first I thought it was Dad. So I got up out of my chair, and I looked over the edge. Dad was sound asleep. He couldn't have gotten up and walked. And where he was walking from was what this white shape walked from was the bathroom. And it walked right past where Dad would have slept at, walked around, and went to where Dad was sleeping, where Mom would have been sleeping at. And I knew it was Mom. Mom had come home. And when Dad woke up, probably an hour later, and I said, "An hour ago, Mom came home." And he said, "What did she do?" "She came to where you're sleeping at." She probably was like surprised to see you sleeping there. And that was the only time I saw Mom. And with David, I seen him a few more times. Seen him before I sent him off on his way. It was a few weeks before I did that. It was early October. I was working the horses in the paddock, getting them to do a lot more exercises than they normally would, because they were always walking about as they grazed. I was encouraging them to do a little bit more. And I looked towards the house, and on one side of the house, somebody was standing there. And I knew who was at the house. I knew Dad was in the house. I knew Mom was in the house. Craig was busy elsewhere, and this shadow was just standing there. And I waved, and I turned around, and I was working with the horses, and I turned to look at to see who the person was, hoping that he was gonna come into the pasture to have a talk, to see what I was doing with the horses. And this guy vanished. When I went back into the house, when I was done with working with the horses, I asked who was out by the master bathrooms, by the master bathroom outside. They said no one was here. And I'm like, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, no one was here." And I knew it was another sighting of David. And it's quite amazing how many times I've seen David compared to Mom. David outshined Mom by at least 4 sightings. And now that we have someone else living in the house, the Haggans, they had one experience so far. Mom showed up and took Sharon's neck bracelet, which was golden, and took it off the hanger and placed it on the counter in the bathroom. And when Sharon came back into the bathroom to do something, she saw it laying there, which was quite amazing. That Mom actually said, "Oh, I love this new family. I'm gonna spook them a little." But Sharon didn't get too spooked. She and I told Sharon that Mom is probably very happy with what is being done with the house, and I like what they did with the house. It's beautiful. But that was one of the other experiences that Mom did with at the house. But those were some of my experiences with ghosts, with the addition of what one of my friends experienced at the house with my family. And I hope to see my mom's ghost come to my new house. I know she will probably like how this little place is, but I think she probably loves the log cabin house more than anything. It had a lot of good memories and a few bads, but most of them were really good and really happy times. And I've had a lot of happy times there myself. And I wish I had the money to buy that place back, because I would. But I know the people who live there love the house very, 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 very much. And I just hope they don't have any ghostly adventures like we did. But David did love his pool table and his pool. So they might be hearing the balls clicking at night, not aware of the ghost that lives in the basement. David might be coming to play pool, but who knows? He might be watching Scott Hagen and Sharon play pool, or maybe their friends end up going downstairs playing pool and David's sitting there watching them play. And those are my ghost experiences. And I will end this right now because I got a few things to do. Happy Halloween!